Kovacevic for coming today. I want to ask Madame Kovacevic about April 10th. Craig Kielburger writes personally to Bill Morneau. Hey, Bill. Hope this finds you, Nancy, Henry, Claire, Edward, and Grace enjoying some well-deserved downtime. And then he pitches this $12 million project. So he pitches it directly to the minister. And 11 days later, it gets approved. Isn't that an extraordinarily short time to approve a project of this nature?
Is that for me, sir?
Yes.
Okay, starting from the top, I was only made aware of Mr. Kielburger's email to the minister when all the emails were revealed as part of our commitment to the Standing Department of Finance. In terms of when the proposal was approved, remember, I would remind committee members that on the date of the announcement of the student package, the $9 billion, of which this $900 million Canada Student Service Grant was a part, there was no approval by the Prime Minister or the Minister of Finance for anything related to WE. The approval was strictly setting aside $900 million, a high-level announcement, and a direction to the minister responsible at ESDC to return with the proposal.
Okay.
That's all I can speak to.
That's interesting because on April 21st, in the Finance Minister's Annex 4, under its headline, Minister of Finance Decision, Bill Morneau allocates $900 million for the CSSG, but also $12 million. It says, in addition, the minister decides to provide up to $12 million to Employment and Social Development Canada to support the We Social Entrepreneurship. So how is it you didn't know that Minister Morneau had just approved $12 million? This is 11 days that this project is on his desk to be actually in a government binder. That's a really, really short turnaround time, don't you think?
Let me correct the record. The Minister of Finance verbally approved what I just mentioned, the $900 million set aside and a direction for the ESDC minister return. He did not approve anything related to WE, neither did the Prime Minister at this juncture. This paper that you're looking at in Annex 4 was what we in the department had put together, which he never signed. We only received a verbal approval on the first two things.
Yeah, I saw that. It says Annex 4, he didn't sign, but he wrote okay. So is that how business is done? Because I see that the $912 million is referenced by the Prime Minister. They don't just refer to 900, they refer to $912 million. And I ask this question because this social entrepreneurship program had nothing to do with the pandemic. It may have been a crisis financing for the Kielburger operation, but the social entrepreneurship was not a response to the pandemic. So the fact that in his binder, he signed off on this issue, I find is really extraordinary because you yourself referred to Minister Morneau's relationship with the Kielburgers as besties. It seems to me that something was going wrong here when $912 million is listed as having been approved. Was it approved verbally only? How is that credible?
Two things there. So I certainly did not characterize Minister Morneau's relationship with the Kielburgers as besties. I'm happy to speak to that email if you like, but that is absolutely not what I said. And again, I iterate that Minister Morneau and the Prime Minister, in advance of the April 26th announcement, did not sign off on anything related to WE. What I can tell you, sir, is that in my briefing to Minister Morneau on the 21st, where he verbally agreed on the $900 million and he verbally agreed on ESDC minister to return, because we had attached the $12 million proposal to the briefing note without any information, I had raised the specter of if we wanted to get out fast, this organization might be able to have some immediate placements while the Minister of ESDC takes, a few more days and weeks to conceive a design and return to cabinet. The minister did not agree to it at that point in time.
Okay, but the minister was the one who received it. He received it from Craig Kielburger, someone who hired his daughter someone who had flown him around the world, and it's listed in there that he's approved it. I'm concerned, Madame, because on April 17th, Minister Chagger meets with Craig Kielburger and Sophia Marquez, and they are briefed at that time about the details. Minister Chagger says they aren't, but according to Sophia Marquez's notes, they were given some key details. My concern is that because they had such a close relationship, maybe other organizations were not considered. For example, the very next day, you tell your colleagues not to call Shopify because EDSC has a better way. Well, that's the day after the meeting with Craig Kielburger. April 19th, Madame Morneau'S sends an urgent email to Craig Kielburger, and then she debriefs your department. And then that Monday, within 3 days, that Monday, there's already a meeting with the Kielburgers on the Kielburger plan, and nobody else. Shopify is not involved. YMCA is not involved. All the names that we've been heard are not involved. It is only from that moment on, it's the Kielburgers. And I'm not blaming you. I just think that the desire to satisfy a government that was so close to the Kielburgers, other decisions weren't checked out. For example, Shopify. Why were they dropped?
So I would say, sir, once again, the $912 million that you referenced was a mistake in the communications background. It is still $900 million. No WE proposal was approved by the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance at that point. With respect to why or not other organizations, including Shopify, you will see very fluid in my emails over a period of 10 days. In fact, we went through many potential organizations as we're trying to land both the design and the potential delivery partner.
But none of them were spoken to. Nobody was spoken to, only the Kielburgers.
We've run out of time on that round.
Thank you.
Way over. Mr. Angus.
Well, thank you both for participating. Thank you, Deputy Minister Fox, for going to Attawapiskat. I really appreciate that. And Madame Kovacevic, thank you for being casual in emails. It's nice to see people who actually talk like human beings. I hope your superiors aren't upset that you were just frank in your conversation. I think it's important. What the Liberals pitched to us is this always came up from the civil service, but the documents show us this came from the top down. I mean, Bill Morneau gets an email from Craig Kielburger for $12 million, and he gives his approval. It wasn't a mistake that it was on that list. It was overturned finally by Katie Telford. The PCO said they did not want this to go ahead, but Bill Morneau did want it to go ahead. I guess my question, just to wrap up here, because the Kielburgers were so tied to the Prime Minister, because they were so tied to Minister Chagger, because they were so tied to Minister Bill Morneau, I think the die was cast from the beginning. So they make lots of claims, those Kielburger boys. I mean, they are very slick. So when they said that they could get 10,000 students, it must have sounded great, but I think due diligence would have asked questions. Can you do this? They claim they had Imagine Canada as a partner. Imagine Canada looked at this and said it was not doable. They did not want to be part of it. But even in June, Imagine Canada is still on the government documents as one of the partners when they weren't. They said they could deliver for Francophones. Only 7% of the people who signed up were Francophone, and only 4% were from Quebec. So that breached the Treasury Board guidelines. So I put it to you, and I'm not blaming you. This was coming from Bill Morneau. This was coming from Minister Chagger's office, and everyone knew the Prime Minister was so tied to the Kielburgers that it put your department, I think, in an impossible situation, and that decisions were made that if we had done due diligence, this scheme would never have gotten off the ground.
That for me, sir?
That is for you.
And what is the exact question? Pardon me.
Well, don't you think if you'd double checked on Imagine Canada that the fact that they walked on this, it would have raised alarm bells that the Kielburgers, having fired all their staff in March, were not capable of taking 10,000 of the cohort. They didn't have the partners to do it. They couldn't do it in Quebec. They couldn't do it with Francophones. If you'd done more due diligence, maybe those issues would have been raised and you would not be speaking to our committee right now.
Thanks for that. That may well be the case, sir. And I think that question is probably directed at ESDC, who were the ones that were building the contribution agreement with We Charity. That was not the Department of Finance. And I would also state that your earlier chronology, yet again, Minister Morneau did not approve the 12 million for we, and I was never aware of a correspondence between Mr. Kielburger and Minister Morneau until August, when email records were made public.
But it's in Annex 4 that it says the minister has approved
That's all
$12 million to Employment and Social Development
all the
Canada.
time that we
That's
have,
April
folks.
21st. It's in the finance minister's documents he approved.
Much.
Point of order,
Thank-
Chair.
Yes, Mr.
Just
Angus,
before
point of
we end for the day, because this question of the $12 million I think is really important. If we have it actually in the minister's financial annex that says he signed off on it, he's approved it. We have it listed in the government release, which the members saying was just a typo. A 12 is not a typo. 912 million is not a typo. It's showing that it's still there. It eventually is mentioned in the PCO, where the PCO says they have a problem with it. I think they had a problem.
Chair,
with Bill
excuse
Moore.
me?
I'm not finished, sir. I'm in a point of order, please. Can
I
my
believe this is
colleague
debate.
wait?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Angus. But
Yeah,
please-
this is
please-
serious. I think my colleagues have interrupted us enough over the last 40 days. So I'm asking because some of the documents on Annex 4 are blacked out. In one, it says, "Hi, folks. I picked up the package of docs from Bill." That's Bill Morneau. "Let me know which ones are missing. I can track them down." Annex 4, Student Service Grant. He didn't sign anything on this. He just wrote okay,
Mr.
same as
I'm
Tyler.
sorry,
So I'm
Chair.
asking, sorry, point of order. I'm still on the point of order, Chair.
I know, Mr. Angus, and you know that I've given broad.
I'm asking
broad
you.
room
I'm
for
asking
everybody.
you if you will ask the finance department to send those documents unredacted regarding this, so we can clarify
Well,
whether it was a typo or whether, in fact, as it says, he signed off okay for the $12 million. It's a simple thing, but we need to know.
All right. I think the request for documents is on record right now. Madam Clerk, that's permissible. We can make that happen. And